thing I loved about Restoration most was that they didn't have a church building. The reason I loved that is because I thought, okay, well, here's a group of people who aren't tethered to a specific location. In my mind, my primary job is to help people figure out what it looks like to walk out their faith. When I met the Cooper family, right on, I could tell like Brad and Beth were the type of people that were always looking to help somebody in need in our community.
I'm Beth Cooper, and Bowie came into our life the very first time we saw her picture. That was in 2016, and we were in the adoption process. But once we saw her picture, we knew that that was our daughter that we were looking at. We adopted her in March of 2017. We knew when we adopted her that she had arthrogryposis. We didn't know to the extent of it. So with arthrogryposis, you can be affected in the uppers or the lower extremities. And Bowie's affected in both. Her arms went from being stuck in extension, and she couldn't bend either one. And within the last 3 years, she had surgeries on both to now be able to bend them. So that gained us a lot, but she still couldn't feed herself because of her fingers are not able to bend at all either, and she can't grasp things. We were introduced to the Obie last summer by her occupational therapist in Greenville, and we tried Obie and she loved it. And up until that point, it had been us feeding her or putting something in front of her at just the right height level and her just putting her head down and eating it. And so once we had Obie, we could sit down at the table and eat as a family. And her words were that we didn't have to feed her anymore, but she was just elated to be able to feed herself and feed herself with dignity and pride. So Bowie, Matthew, and Eder are 7, 8 years old, and here they all are, and here we are feeding them, not thinking anything about it. It was our daily life. And I was like, okay, this is another one. We've got to get them a feeder. And I spoke with our therapists that we share, and they were like, they're at dead ends. They've applied, they've done everything, and they can't get it. And so I called Brad and I was like, okay, we've got to do something. And I sent messages out. I just knew we had to get these guys their feeders. And so then Tom messages and that he'd like for us to talk.
And I said, well, we could write a check, but that's all it'll be. It'll be a check. And then I could get up on Sunday morning and say, hey, we wrote a check and look at these 2 children, like we were able to help them, great. And I just sensed that you weren't going to be satisfied with that. You know, beating inside of Beth's chest was this heart that said, I want to really, really help people. I don't want to just, I want to make a difference. And so I was like, you know what? I think God's trying to do something bigger than.
And by the time we hung up the phone, I was like, let's go. Let's do this. When God gives you an opportunity to serve Him and be able to, through Him, have an effect on others, to say yes. I think some yeses are easy. This yes with Bowie's Helping Hands, it was an easy yes. With this, it would have stopped after getting these guys these feeders. I mean, maybe we would have been able to do another one whenever, but then to have Tom and Stacy and their family come along, it's not me or I, it's we when we talk about our community coming with us and our restoration family. And it's just having people come alongside you that are excited for it, that maybe can see even more of a way to be able to expand something that God is doing and then go after it together. Let others in.